You are listening to and watching For the Artists, a podcast brought to you by Creative and Projects. I'm your host, Melissa Cherie, and I do have, obviously, a special guest and feature. Let's get into who this wonderful, amazing person is sitting next to me. All right, Clarissa Amber Holmes grew up surrounded by music. That should be no surprise. Her mother married an LA famous DJ, Rick Holmes, and he raised her on his knee at a radio station owned by the one and only Stevie Wonder. If you're from LA, you already know, okay, that would be KJLH, which introduced her to the origins of R&B and soul. In church, she joined her first gospel choir, God's Chosen, at the age of 5 years old, led by Isaiah Jones Jr., who penned the song, God Has Smiled on Me. And with Isaiah as her childhood pastor, gospel music became a staple in her life and flourished her love for God at an early age. Now listen, y'all, she's sitting on this couch because she was a member of BCCE, which is the Black Celestial Choral Ensemble, okay, in college at Syracuse University, and that is where we met, okay? She returned home after college. She joined the praise team at Bishop Clarence McClendon's Ministry Church of the Harvest and served in music ministry, worshiping and contributing on his gospel album releases. This is my friend, y'all. If you was here, I'd be like, give it up for my friend, my girl, Clarissa Amber, as I like to call her. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I really am.
We finally got through all the technical difficulties. We got the camera to
Girl,
work.
they don't need to know all that.
You know what? That's fine, though. Ain't no shame. Ain't no shame. Okay, so I'm already learning things about you, even though we're friends, that I didn't know.
Really?
I didn't know about the whole KJLH being surrounded by music.
Yeah.
I mean, how did I not know this?
I don't know. I think that, you know, I was raised by a single mother. And so, you know, they're the heroes and they're who you focus on, who you talk about. You've met my mother.
Yes, amazing.
But my father, you know, he was prolific in my life, but only in my life full time until I was like 5 years old, 6 years old. He struggled with alcohol and drug addiction. So, but I mean, he put the music in me, and you know, he was very creative. He was a spoken word artist. He recorded with Roy Ayers. He has a spoken word album, and yeah, I mean, I grew up at the station. So, and I guess I didn't talk about that much because I was probably, you know, I was still healing from my trauma.
Yeah, I don't think.
But I'm involved now. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I've been to therapy,
Then
so I
that's
can
what we
discuss
do.
it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
He was a big influence. Yeah, he really was.
So, does your mom have any musical creative?
So she sang in church. So my
Okay.
mom, you know, she was in God's Chosen, which I was in God's Chosen. You know, when you're a single mother,
Yeah.
you go wherever she goes. So I was just, you know, she was in the choir, and I, you know, was under the piano listening.
Wow, so
Yeah.
many similarities.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah,
Your
because
mom sang too.
well, okay, my mom didn't sing till later. No offense, mama, but she be trying to sing, but yeah, no. But she had us in choir.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like from a young age, like it's just so interesting the seeds that get planted very
Exactly.
early on. And if you were to look at it now, it's like, how far have you strayed from that seed that was sown back then?
Not far. I mean, I still know all the music. The music gets in you. You know what I mean? And so, you know, to this day, if I'm going through a hard time and I'm doing the dishes, about to cry and break down because something's going wrong, you know, God has smiled on me, you know, and it gets you through. It gets in here early. So, I fell in love with God that way too. You know, music was the gateway drug to Jesus.
Yeah.
You know,
For me
really,
too.
seriously. I fell in love with him.
So let me ask you this: you fell in love with Jesus through music, but at what point did you? I think you talked about this. We're gonna get into it later, but it's like, how soon did you pick up the fact that like I wanna do music? Like you were surrounded by it, but at what point did you know you wanted to like actually do it? Like there's a difference.
No, that took a long time. That really did. That was a whole journey, because I think even in Syracuse, when you and I were ministering in BCCE together, again, that was a lifeline for me. You know, we were from California. I was across the country. I had left everything I know, and you guys became my family. So that was like a social, like choir had always been a social support for me, you know. And I love the music, and it did what it does. But it was also like, I don't know if I want to do music. You know what I mean? I'm just doing it to survive. You know, without that social structure at Syracuse, that would have been a whole other college experience. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because girl, them football players was after us. Okay, they were. I mean, we're just like light skinned and cute, and you know all the things. I'm like giving them a track to Campus Crusade for Christ.
Were
you?
Yeah.
I was. Let me get you saved.
Before you come trying to knock on my door.
I mean, they were, you know. Well, we didn't get all into that. But, yeah, I mean, it was community. It was about community. It took a long time for me to come to the realization that I wanted to do music. I wanted to make music. That took years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Years. Yeah, I mean, back to BCCE, I mean, that's the reason why I stayed at that particular college, because I was going to leave.
Really?
But
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I was homesick, and I was like, this isn't working for me. All this snow and all this.
It was cold.
Yeah, and I'm
storms.
like, they was always trying to warn me. I was like, I've been in snow. I know what cold is. That's a different level of cold, and it just doesn't stop. It's like 9-10 months out of the year.
Yeah.
So I was like, but once I locked into that, then I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm gonna stay here.
Yeah. It was the best. It was the best community.
Yeah.
One of the best communities I've ever been a part of. Really. Truly. Truly. And look, we still love each other.
We're not gonna say how many years have gone by.
No, we're not. No, we ain't gonna talk numbers now. We ain't gonna talk numbers.
You were born and raised in LA.
Yeah.
And not to tell our business, but you're still in LA. Like you chose to stay here.
Yeah.
What is that like, being like born and raised from LA? Because I feel like LA is a lot of like transplants. A lot of people coming here to pursue the dream, be the dream, but not everybody is like, born and raised right here. So what was that like?
I mean, I think that LA natives are very different than LA transplants. And I think everyone would agree with that. We are our own community. We have our own thing. That's why Kendrick's like, they not like us. Part of that is that, okay? Because the LA community, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like the first thing someone asks you is, what high school did you go to? And then they already are like in their mind, oh, okay, this is Westchester. And this person went to Westchester. I went to Laces. So there's I honestly feel like the community is very small in LA, although it's millions of people. If you were born and raised here and you have roots here, there's always this community. Like, I can't explain it. Yeah. When I finally did start to do music, that community came to my shows, and showed up because I belonged to them. Do you know what I'm saying? And we touched the same places, and so I was very relatable to the LA natives, So yeah, but I think what it is, it's like, I don't know, we're not the same as Hollywood. We're not the same as the stereotypes of people coming here. We have our own culture, neighborhoods, and experiences, and that form who we are.
It's almost like
natives.
Reality versus fantasy.
Yes, exactly.
Because as soon as you said Hollywood, it's like there's like a Hollywood mentality.
Absolutely.
A Hollywood perspective.
Yeah.
And people will often mistake
Absolutely.
LA for being that, and it's like, yeah, no, that's not LA. That's something y'all are making up. And
Exactly. And if you think about the musicians that are from here that are like making music now, those dudes are dope. We're talking Kamasi Washington, Terrace Martin. You know, like there are some amazing musicians who are changing the industry, and they came from here,
from right here.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like they don't know me, but I'm claiming them. You know what I mean? They, you know, same thing.
Hometown. Okay.
Hometown. They have, you know, parents who were artists. You know, came up the same way. So it's, I relate. I relate.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very soulful town. We've been through a lot.
And that's so interesting. Hearing you say that, it makes sense because LA has been through a lot, especially like historically. I mean, you look at all the critical and pivotal times of things that happened in the nation, and LA is like, you know, a central point for a lot of those things. But when people are talking about soulful places, it's not a place that just automatically just slips off the tongue first. You know what I mean? Yeah. I feel like people will name drops like other cities as being very soulful, but no one's like, oh, LA.
I think we have a bad rap, okay, because of gangster rap, right? So, but that, I think gangster rap, West Coast rap, was a form of protest. Like when I was like, I don't want to say my age, but I was at the riots. Did I attend and loot? I did not loot. Okay, but I may or may not have housed looters at the time. And I may or may not have gotten a couple of free beepers.
Yes, take me back to the beepers and the pagers.
No, but I mean, and that riot was a form of protest. Like, you have to imagine being like young, black, and in high school at that time. And every weekend somebody was getting abused, shot, unalived by the police. And so that protest erupted out of like us. We did that. You know what I mean? We did that because of the injustice. So, and then gangster rap was born out of that, you know, and West Coast hip hop was shaped by that whole time. So like, I take ownership of that. You know, I think that that's very soulful and very, it was a pivotal moment, and I lived in it, you know, and like, that's why I'm like, we're deeper than movies and TV shows here, you know. So I have a hard time identifying in other places. I've tried to live other places, and I'm like, oh, this is home.